there's no way,
Mhm.
there's no way that this was an accident or that
Mhm.
it wasn't intentional in her mind, because she says that they're trained to look for those points. So he says it was, in her opinion, it was deliberate, that it was just left alone. Now, on the spiritual side, I'm thinking like, Lord, you had mercy on that man because because it was just like a centimeter that saved his life.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it literally was like if he hadn't turned his head, like the bullet
I
would have gone
mean,
through his head. Like
yeah,
the bullet would have gone through his head if he hadn't turned for
yeah.
it to pass.
I mean,
So
it was
you
just,
definitely see
yeah,
the hand of
yeah.
God.
And I
All
was
right.
surprised to see how many people, I mean, like on Instagram and TikTok, like everyone, all the, I mean, the other people from the other party, where I've never expected like so much like hate, I guess, wishing someone death. And I'm like, uh I don't know, I guess that caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that people would be like, so, I don't know, like showing so little compassion, because I mean, like somebody did die. And yeah, and to see people like crying, no, this guy missed it, how could he miss it, and all that. I'm like, I was just surprised. I was not expecting that from another human.
Well, because there's more than just humans that's at work here, which is what I'm going
Yeah.
to talk about here shortly. Go ahead, Sonia. I see your hand up.
Yeah, I thought about you and what we have been talking about all along and what you saw in heaven. I'm not sure if you happen to catch this prophet's prophecy about 4 months ago. He prophesied
Hmm.
exactly what was going to happen with the assassination attempt. I mean, he was spot on.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah, I saw it. He literally said the bullet was going to go past his ear, like right there, and it was going to be so close that it busted his eardrum or something. And I'll share that when I edit this. I'll put that video clip in there. Can somebody actually see if they can find it real quick? Of this guy prophesying. It should be on
yeah,
YouTube.
I'll grab it.
And,
I'll grab it for you.
all right, yeah. And
The thing,
as you grab that, I'll go ahead and maybe give you guys what I think on it.
the other
Are you guys
thing,
familiar with my thoughts on it already? Or have I shared this before or not with you guys?
the last, can I just say one last thing? Patience, about
Mhm.
this guy. I don't know if everybody's familiar with this prophet, but the thing that I love about him and just how so many things are unfolding in the last days is that when you see him, and I can and say this initially, when I learned of him months and months ago, it's just kind of like, okay, because he just kind of seems, I can't even think of a good word, but maybe because of, just being real country and, real Southern, just kind of like not someone that people like in masses would take seriously. But I love how he is, and it came in my spirit how God uses the weak and the foolish to confound the wise. Because I know when other people, especially the intellectuals, come across him and see that he prophesied this and his demeanor, he doesn't fit in with what the world would, deem being a wise person. So I just love his simplicity and humility. So it's
Okay.
just a wonderful guy.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I know. Back in 2014, no, it's like maybe 2016, around the time when before Donald Trump became president, the last time he was president. Um, and I just remember how demonically influenced people were when it came to the hatred against him. And I remember, and this is the thing, I'm not really somebody that cares about Republican, Democrat. I don't care anything about that. I vote based on the values, right? Are the values that this person is going to stand for? Does it match up with what God wants? for the nation. Again, I flow according to what heaven is doing and not according to, what we're doing and wanting to do down here in the earth. So I remember just how angry my family was at me. All these people were mad when I told them. And when I began to seek the Lord on it, I was like, okay, something's wrong here, because the hatred is clearly demonic. So there has to be something else going on here. And when I began to seek the Lord on it, it was like I saw in heaven, and in heaven, it was like the angel was holding this book. And when the book opened, it had, because this was like a book that had like significant events, right? And it was pertaining to the nation of the United States. This was like specifically for the nation. And when he opened the book, because it's kind of like, how when I talked about people's books in heaven, like the page that you're on is the season that we're kind of in. So as the angel opened the book, and I saw what it had on there, and it had President of the United States, and it had the person that was supposed to be president, and it said Donald J. Trump. And again, of course, I wasn't biased either way. So, but that's what I saw. And when I told, some of my family and all that, they were like, basically trying to attack me. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling y'all what I saw. Y'all, you got a problem with that? You take it up with the person who wrote the book. I didn't write it. And then in addition to that, another thing that I saw in heaven was the fact that there was, and I don't want to say sadness because there's not really sadness in heaven, but basically they were upset about the amount of babies that were being aborted. Because remember, when you look at it from God's perspective, they're taking all this time to create this person, write a beautiful book for their life and their destiny. And then they send the child in the earth, and they're literally being sent right back. It's like a slap in the face to God when you think about it. That's how much abortion is happening. And then also remember that, like when Cain killed Abel, the Bible says Abel's blood began to cry out to the Lord from the ground. So every time a baby is killed, that blood is crying out to heaven. Okay, so that's what heaven was concerned about. They this thing, God cares nothing about your political beliefs, what you like, what you don't like. There are babies being murdered every day. There are over 200,000 abortions a day. 24 million babies are killed so far just this year. Okay, alone. We're not even talking about since 1973 when they started doing abortion. There's been over 70 million babies that's been killed. Okay, so imagine all of this blood crying out to heaven for vengeance. And not just for vengeance, but also, just for like, hey, God, you're going to do something about this? Okay, so that was the main issue that they were discussing. I saw them like they were around a round table, and they were like talking about this issue and how they were going to make sure these abortions stopped. So that was heaven's greatest concern. Okay, when I saw this, when the Lord showed me this, and that's what I was trying to tell people. I was like, at the end of the day, the issue was never, okay, does God like this person or favor this person? The issue was, who can God use to shut it down? He doesn't care about all of that other stuff. Okay, he doesn't care if you like the person or not. At the end of the day, who's going to stand up for these babies that are being killed every year? And understand the demonic attacks against him, including this assassination attempt, is coming from the demonic kingdom, because they understand that if he gets in office, he's going to shut down abortion. And you have to understand that in order for demonic altars to have the powers that they have, the altar doesn't have any power without a sacrifice on it, right? If they have to have blood and sacrifice. So if he stops these 200,000 babies from being killed every day, do you know how many less sacrifices will be on their altars? Okay, it's the demonic realm that the main issue is a pro-life versus pro-death war that's going on in the realm of the spirit. And that's what we have to understand and step back, get out of your emotions, and really seek the Lord on what it is that he's doing and why he's doing what he's doing, because it's way bigger than politics. It's way bigger than what we think or feel. Again, I don't have any like or dislike for anybody. Biden, Trump, I don't know them. Like, they're not my uncle. I don't know none of them. Okay. I'm just telling folks, hey, this is what I saw in heaven. And I've been telling people that since 2015, 2016, before that election. I was telling people this because that was when the Lord showed me this. And he said that he was going to use Trump to give the church more time because the enemy's been trying to push the timeline and bring the Antichrist in before time. But Trump has been giving him a headache. And so basically, that's what God is doing. God needed to put somebody hard-headed in there so that they wouldn't go with the agenda of the enemy. Y'all remember when God was talking to the prophet and he said, I made your forehead strong. He was basically saying, I made you hard-headed for a reason. So God will use anybody, y'all, whether you like him or not. At the end of the day, Moses was a murderer. Okay. So was Saul before he became Paul and wrote a lot of the Bible. Noah was a drunk. So at the end of the day, God knows what he's doing. And we have to understand that when he does something, there's a bigger picture. He can see the end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And that's why he makes the decisions that he makes. But that's my stance on it. I believe the attack is from the demonic realm because it is really a pro-life. And understand also that Donald Trump is very, very outspoken about his beliefs on marriage, and that in fact that he believes it should be between one man and one woman. So that's another issue too. In addition to the babies and the abortion stopping, that makes him a target for the demonic kingdom. Okay, so that's my stance on it. Any questions? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that just for watching the people in the comments, I mean, like you mentioned before, like you can see the demonic in their eyes, like you can see the anger, the rage, like, and it's yeah, like something misunderstanding. So I will totally, I can see how obviously God is very disappointed and sad, all these babies. And it totally makes sense that this is a man that's a little bit stubborn. So he's not going to be pushed around, bought by money or, power. So I mean, may God have mercy on us.
All right. So Sonia, you had your hand up first, and then Tiffany.
Yeah, I was just wanted to echo what she was saying. I mean, the vitriol and the hatred. I mean, it's just so clear, and I agree with what you said. I mean, it's coming from the demonic kingdom, just the way that people were when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I thought people would be excited, and just to see how people were, even in the church, how people responded. And I think you and I had discussed this before, how it was said that he had these aunts that were Christians that were praying people. And that is a lot of what ushered him into the position, as to where he is now. But I had heard it prophesied before, along with the gentleman who prophesied about the assassination attempt, that Trump already felt like, and I emphasize felt, that he was a Christian, but that this assassination attempt was going to bring him to a completely different place in Christ. And having watched these political leaders, especially the ones who do profess Christ, being at the Capitol, bringing in different people to have prayer meetings, and the way that these politicians have gotten upset, especially when the word of Jesus is used. But I think he was saying that he could see him in the White House with these people laying hands on him and them praying, to the point of tears. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a very sad but beautiful moment in the body of Christ. And so as much as it, pained me initially, it was in my spirit like, wait a minute, you knew this was going to happen. And I didn't care for him before until the Lord started showing me differently about, the politics of the media, mainstream media, the corruptness and stuff. And so having to look past that and know that God is not falling off the throne. He is still in control. And, I'm not looking for a pastor in chief. If this is someone that the Lord has chosen as a vessel, which I believe in his last administration, I mean, the prophecy of the capital in Israel, not the capital, but the oh, I can't think of it. The not temple. Uh, it'll come to me, but that Trump was instrumental in having that moved to Jerusalem. So he, Bible prophecy has been fulfilled through him and is continuing to. So for me, it's just about voting Bible. Like you said, it's not about, political affiliation. It's just following the Holy Spirit's leading. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not to mention the epic fail on the Secret Service part. I mean, it was so pitiful. I'm like, I was just watching the video and I'm like, they don't
Patience,
even
that
look
was
like
a
a
setup.
professional
That was a
security
setup.
team. I
That
mean,
was
they
a
were like
setup.
fumbling around.
That was definitely a setup. I mean, just I had to pull myself away from social media because that's not usually my thing. But the people that are professional snipers and the things that were said, it was so sloppy. And I feel so sorry for that poor young man because I feel like he was either coerced into that or used as a scapegoat because there is nothing about him, no, prior records, anything that would have put him in that position. So it's just sad for a lot of people all the way around. But,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like that for God to get things done the way that he needs to.
But it was still good that it was, not a professional assassin because the way the Secret Service, I mean, responded, if that was a professional assassin, this would be a different story.
True.
So yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. But just watching the videos, just that alone, that was like an epic feel. It's like they were moving in slow motion. Okay, anybody else on your thoughts?
I'm still processing this, but I'd love to hear what Tiffany has to say.
All right, Tiffany, you can go ahead and share your opinion now. A couple of people have shared theirs.
So I'm interested to see
Mhm.
how God is going to use Trump to assist the church. I'm just interested to see because there's a couple of things I agree with from different people's point of views. So, yes, Patience, I remember you saying that the Lord had showed you a while ago how that he was going to use Donald Trump to buy the church more time. So, I'm curious to see more time for what, because what is the church going to start doing that they aren't doing already or that they should be doing already?
Changing that 2%, changing that 98%, 2% to 98%. First of all,
I,
that's what we need.
I
But go
hope
ahead.
I hope so. I also agree with Nydia when she said that it's just to me, it's mind-boggling how there are people coming out saying that they saw this man with a rifle going up to the roof and nothing
Mhm.
was done and the police were like, "Oh, what guy? What are you talking about?" I mean, we're talking about a former president who is assigned Secret Service for the rest of their lives. No matter where they go, they have Secret Service to protect them. So that's insane to me. But I also am curious to see if I know that God can use anyone, but Trump is
Mhm.
also very stubborn and he's also very provocative. So he says a lot of things to get a reaction out of people. And that's
Mhm.
what and I don't trust the media at all in any way, shape, or form. They're going to tell you it's television. They're going to tell you what they want you to think.
Mhm.
And they build narratives that way. So they have this whole agenda 2020, 2020 something or 2025. I don't know, some agenda thing that they're putting out there. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Then they're saying that, oh, if he wins, it's going to cause a civil war. If he doesn't win, it's going to cause a civil war. It's just like a lot of fear tactics that I don't like.
Mhm.
But he also knows what he's saying. Like, he does say things to stir up emotion in different groups of people. Like, in one of his, and I don't even really like politics because I don't put my faith in any politician. They're still human. So they
Mhm.
can have all the faith and belief in all of the set, oh, I'm gonna do this when I get all the promises in the world. As soon as I get in office, I'm gonna do this. And then they get in office and it's like, what? I never said that. you know? So, but he, like, during his political debate the other day, I didn't like how he said, oh, the immigrants that are coming into this country, they're taking all the jobs from the blacks. I didn't I'm like, why do you have to say things like, because that's specifically going to stir up emotion. You know what I'm saying, in people. Like, why are you doing stuff like that? So
Oh,
I don't. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, yeah. So I don't really, he's very provocative. He likes to get a reaction out of people. But in terms of the Republican, like, this is something that me and my dad, talk about a lot. Just in
Mhm.
terms of family history, like my family's Jamaican. So when I talk about my dad, his belief system, and he's very traditional. He's a very traditional Caribbean man. He
Mhm.
said that a lot of Black people have always had the foundational basis of being Republican just because of the beliefs and
Mhm.
Christian foundation, and standards. So I I'm you know I agree with anything that's going to be, in relation to how Christ was going to is once it done. I'm all for it, but I do believe people are people. Um, I do believe also that, yes, God can use him to you know assist the assignment of the church. I want to know what that assignment is. Maybe it's not for me to know, but I think that Trump could get in office and totally go left. He's already buddies with Putin. We have Elon Musk, who is a Satanist. I told you guys a while ago that he had put on Twitter. You can find his tweet on Twitter where he says, yes, I know I'm going to hell. And I don't mind because most of y'all will be there with me. He
Wow.
he put that on Twitter, and then now we have him endorsing Trump and saying, "Oh, he's like a modern day Theodore Roosevelt." He dodged assassination. All of this stuff, and it's like anybody that the world loves, I'm leery of because the Bible
Does
says.
the world love you though?
I think a portion of the yes, because he wouldn't. I do think that a portion of people do, because if they didn't, he would have never made it into office the first time. I think
Mhm.
people were covert in terms of voting for him. You know what I'm saying? That was a whole big thing where people, oh no, we don't like Trump. And then when he won, people were shocked because they didn't realize how much undercover support he really had. So it's not trendy to say that you like Donald Trump. It's not politically correct to say that you like Donald Trump because he has this totalitarian, that mindset where he wants to be this dictator like Putin. Um, but I do, and like I said, he is provocative, but he does have a Christian foundation. And nobody's perfect either. Nobody's perfect. So I do believe that the whole thing was a setup. They said the
Okay.
bullet hit the glass, and the tempered glass is what got his ear. I don't understand how you could be in any area and you hear gunshots and nobody's ducking. I didn't get that.
Well, when you watch the video, though, it didn't really sound like gunshots at first. And I think that's why it was kind of like, and then they realized it was gunshots and people started getting down. But I do agree with what you said earlier, though. It was a little bit fishy when people were clearly telling the police, hey, there's a guy over here with a rifle, like climbing on the building. And they're just kind of standing there like, da 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 da. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you just say the word bomb in a crowd, they're arresting you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So for somebody to be
Exactly.
there with a whole rifle, come on. And they acting like, I mean, unless it was just, demonic influence that caused them to be in that daze or whatever.
That's true
Um,
too. I haven't really gotten any revelation on the spiritual side of it yet. Because you raise your voice too loud in an airport, you're going to jail. You're on the no-fly list, nothing. So you're within a certain amount of feet from a former president, like I said, who has Secret Service assigned to them for the rest of their life. I don't care what crimes he's committed, the Secret Service is assigned to him and his family for the rest of their lives because he was in office. So I just don't understand how people, police officers, I just don't understand how it was even possible.
yeah.
So those are my thoughts.
Tanya, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, even though he's got that Secret Service, assignment for the rest of his life, one of the things that they're investigating, besides the fact, what I agree, was saying that it was just fishy with what the eyewitnesses said about what was going on, but his Secret Service protection is insufficient. And the current administration has been very tight and just very much against him and even RFK, considering what he went through with his uncle and his father and giving the candidates protection. Like where he was standing, the glass is in front of him, right? And so when he dropped, that barrier where he dropped, that's bulletproof, but there's nothing else around him other than what's up front. And so the way that he was turned, the glass wasn't hit. And there's pictures where you can actually see, I don't know what kind of cameras or development that they were using, where you see the bullets whiz by his ear. So, so it was actually cut there, but they were saying that, they're going to look into it now about ramping up security, but it was just a fail on manpower in general, that they never wanted to give him protection, never wanted him, to have that sort of covering. And
Yeah.
his popularity has grown because, and I look at it like you were saying from a spiritual perspective, everything has been thrown at him. And every time something happens, it just increases his backing because people in general can see, regardless of the negative narratives that the mainstream media puts out there. I mean, they can take two words and say, oh, he's going to be a dictator, or oh, he said this or he said that. But if you go beyond what legacy media or mainstream media is putting out there, and you look at where news is going now, which is not my, excuse me, a big thing for me to watch the news, but the more independent ones, and you can get the full feeds. Like they were saying that it was cheap fakes of the video with Biden, where he's like stumbling and bumbling about. And it's like, no, it's not. He's declining. And they had to admit to that, after the last debate. So it's just a lot that the man definitely not perfect. He has said some things that they used to ruffle my feathers, but when I got a better angle and started listening without all the filters that these people put out there because they want you to hear it a certain way. Even now, they're trying to vilify him and saying he's responsible for getting shot. I mean, it's just crazy the way that they spin things. And it was the embassy. That's what I couldn't remember before. I don't know if you know about the embassy in Jerusalem being
Mhm.
moved from where it was. So yeah, I mean, he's done, you know, quite a few things to usher things along. And I mean, he's already been in office for 4 years. So when people are saying, oh, he's going to be a dictator or he's going to, you know, band with this group or that group, it's not like we've never seen him in office. And it doesn't mean that he couldn't change, but the things that he's talking about is going back in and reinforcing and reinstating what he was already doing. And people don't want you know, us to have a wall. They want all these people coming in, or they want kids to be able to get immunity from their parents if they want to, you know, have um, surgery to change from being a boy to a girl in elementary school. So it's like, if you can get to California, we'll take care of you. I mean, the stuff is just absolutely crazy. And he's trying to restore a sense of what I see as being biblical values, you know, to the country. Will he make missteps along the way? Of course, because regardless of what happens, my stance is, you know, I put no trust in man. It's the Lord all day. But as a vessel, you know, I support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. You can't really put any trust in man, period. But at the end of the day, you know, if God wants to use you, He's going to use you. Noah wasn't drunk and he still built the ark. Guess he didn't need to be sober to build it. But when you look at the scene, though, it's so obvious though, because there are only a couple of buildings that, because remember the Secret Service sniper had to get on the other building's roof to shoot the other guy down from the other roof, but there were only really like two roofs, right? And both roofs from the aerial view from the top were like white. Like when you looked at it from the top, it was like white. So I'm trying to figure out, if you have surveillance, you don't have aerial view surveillance to clearly see somebody climbing onto the top of a white
Yeah,
roof.
they talked
Like,
about that. They said
on.
there were no drones. They didn't have aerial surveillance. That's what they were saying. Like, his detail is so poor. And now they're talking about, oh yeah, we're going to ramp this up so it never happens again. It should have never happened to begin with, but they've not given, like, anybody, I'm sure you're probably aware of this, but anybody who's a candidate, even if he had never been president before, like if you go back and look at, I'll just use Obama, for instance, if you see the way like his outdoor rallies were and the protection that he had never been president, but there was so much more reinforcement, and it was purposely done because what's his name? Biden just, I mean, they don't like each other. And it's a shame, but that it comes down to that you don't want to do the right thing because you feel threatened that this person is going to regain office. I mean, it's just sad.
Were you able to find the video with the
Yeah,
prophecy?
I put it in the thing about 10-15 minutes ago. You see
Can
it? The
somebody
link?
share it? Because I don't know if I can share my screen on this device. Can someone share the video? Let's see. Let me see if I can
See
get
it
it
in
on
there?
And this was the prophecy, right, from the guy who saw ahead of time. I think it was like exactly 3 months ago to the, like, when
Yeah.
he prophesied that.
I put it in again. Do you see it?
All right, let
Put it
me
in again.
see.
You want me to share it or you got it?
Let me just try to see if it'll let me share it. It's never let me share on this device before, but let me give it a shot and see if it works. No, it's not sharing. Yeah, can you share it?
I'll try. Hopefully I won't have the problems that I usually do.
Yeah, because he prophesied a couple of other things too that hasn't happened yet. Like the fact that good is coming
Can you
up
see
now.
it?
let you guys watch it. We see your screen. It has like your initial. We don't see the video yet.
You
I
don't
don't
see
think
the
it's
video?
it's sharing here. It's not sharing like your YouTube. So you, make sure you click share this tab instead when you go to the YouTube.
Yeah, the screen is black at the moment, but it's looping.
Okay.
Do you see anything on the screen?
Can you guys see it?
I
Yeah, we
see
see
it on
the
the
screen
screen,
and buffing. Yep, there you go.
but we can't hear audio. It's the same button as last time.
But it's still looping right now, right? It's not playing yet, right?
No, it's playing.
Oh, it is? Okay. Can
Yep.
someone else share? The link is in the chat.
Let me see.
I can try.
I can.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Tiffany, try it and see if
She has to stop presenting.
Are you
You
guys
can stop.
familiar with Brandon?
Who's Brandon?
The
Was
guy
that the
that's on the
prophesied it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Has anyone heard him before?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I
not,
am.
not for this.
No.
Oh, yeah, he's really good. I'll share one other video he did in the chat. Sometimes that's really good.
Okay.
I can put his YouTube channel link in the WhatsApp. He's got some good stuff. I mean, he's good.
Okay. We'll let's see. I don't hear any audio yet. Tiffany. Oh, it looks like you're because you're on mute.
Okay, that's probably, I was on mute. Hold on.
Okay.
He said there's going to be a new wave of patriotism coming out, and that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan, and then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on these. They had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation. And it was coming, it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and there things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash. Yeah. Worse than the Great Depression. And the Lord warned me about this. It would be a great dark time. But I saw paddles coming upon America's soil like a shocking of the soil. And I saw Donald Trump praying in the office of the Oval Office, and he was weeping before the Lord with his hands on his head like this, but he was weeping. And there was ministers and people, I don't know if they were senators or Congress people or whatever. I just saw them pacing and back and forth inside of the White House. I'm sorry, what is the White House? But it's the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were interceding all inside there, and I could feel the presence of the Lord so strong on this. And then I could see that darkness that was the heaviness upon America with the financial crisis of what I saw coming. It started to lift above the trees, and I saw the blue and the things coming back out, and the green times and the good times coming back again. But the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shaking to awaken. And in this, this would basically that he was not done with America. There would be a great revival come, and it's not all doom and gloom. That's what he said. The sky's not falling. It's just a time of. It's like people would say, "This is judgment," and the Lord said, "Do not call this judgment. It's not my judgment. It's a correction. There's correction coming."
Abs are made in the kitchen. Here are the 3
right.
biggest breakfast mistakes that sabotage weight.
We can stop it. All right. So what do y'all think about the prophecy? I'm sure you guys have seen it. You know,
I think I saw this video. I've seen his videos, but then, sometimes you get to the point you're like, am I watching too many YouTube videos?
all right. So what do y'all think about, because a whole bunch of people, have come out and talked about, the judgment and all this from the Lord. A lot of people have said that.
Well, I mean, I pray that Trump really does turn to the Lord, especially after this weekend. If anyone's gonna get into the office, um, choosing between candidates, he seems like the one who'd probably be turning closer to the Lord than the other ones right now.
I mean, anybody who gets shot at is probably going to start thinking about, what would have happened if I passed, if I had died, or where would I have gone?
Yeah, I think sometimes, I think if I were looking from his perspective, like that seems like a really isolating place that he's in right now. With every comment on social media, the news, attacking whatever his reputation is, and it sounds like he has his family, that seems to be that part of his life that's grounding him. But there's only so much that he can turn to them for, to the point where now it's really going to be the Lord that can take the rest of this from him, take that burden from him.
All right. What do y'all think about the part of the prophecy that talked about, the depression? I think we talked about the famine a little bit earlier anyway, about the famine that was coming, about the depression that he prophesied. And then he said it would be worse than like the Great Depression, but then they're going to pray and then, the Lord will turn it around. What do y'all think about that? I do think it's necessary. And I think that that's part of the reason why God is orchestrating things the way that he is, because if you have all these babies crying out right from the ground, because when Abel killed Cain, when Cain killed Abel, it said that the blood was from the ground, it was crying out to the Lord. So essentially somebody from the White House has to repent on behalf of the nation for that, for whatever judgment would have been, that had to be in place for that blood that was crying out, to be taken care of. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like right now with even people with us, repenting on behalf of our bloodline, right? And in order for the foundation to be relayed, I feel like that's the reason why God is doing it like this, because it has to be done from the White House for someone to repent on behalf of the nation, so that judgment can be lifted. What do you guys think?
I personally see Trump having the capacity to do that, because I think, despite what people portray him to be and all of the gossip, going around his candidacy and even his prior election, I think you have to have some amount of humility to continue doing what you're doing. I don't see how, if he was just doing this for himself, if that was his true motive, I don't see how he continued going for office with all of these attempts on his life. I really don't. I think he's really not someone that people portray him to be. I think the reaction is just something else completely, I think it's demonic. Just the reaction, like no one in their right state of mind is going to react like from 0 to 100 just because you hear a name of a person. So there's something going on there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because when you think about it, he's already, been in did his term. He could have just walked away, right, and given up on it. There wouldn't have been a reason to try to come back in office. If he was just doing it for himself, who would keep pressing through all of this just for that? Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, agreeing with Diane. I don't know if you've heard this. You probably haven't, but there's something called Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. Just the way that people freak out about things, the way that she's speaking of, and it reminds me of is it the Jezebel or Leviathan spirit? I can't remember which one it is, but it's when a person says something. Let's just say that I'm speaking to someone that exhibits that that spirit. They have that spirit, and what I'm saying, I hear myself saying something, but when they receive it, it's completely different. And they're like, "You said blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." Is that Jezebel
Yeah,
or is that Levi? Okay, and
they
so
both do it, but yeah, the Leviathan is the twister, right? He twists your words.
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so with and this is stuff that I have known of for years, just the way that there's so much money, and I mean this literally, poured into the media for stories to come out a certain way. Like seriously, if you were to take, just say, 6 networks tonight and do a montage on the same story, they are reporting the same thing verbatim, that you could, like, you could hear someone say he was walking down and then go to the next network and the street blah blah blah, and it's crazy. It's like, how do people not know this? And so if you're tuned in to these legacy networks, mainstream media, and that's all you see day in, day out, why would you not believe that? And so for me, like, not taking the jab, not not um going forth with something during
Okay.
30 years
Yeah.
ago, it
Mhm.
was because I didn't watch news anyway, but because of the Christian programming that I was tuned into, that I was able to come to a different understanding about things. Because I typically like to vet what I hear and not just like jump on that bandwagon of, oh, this person said blah, blah, blah. Because it's easy to take a sound bite and twist it, besides people hearing otherwise. So yeah, totally agree with her. And in addition to that, I don't know if you want to put it up or have someone put it up, but I found a link to a video. It's a couple of minutes of this sniper that said something very interesting about what happened. So I can put
Okay.
it in.
Put it in the chat. Someone can share it. You can put it in the chat. And someone can share it. And while we're trying to share it, that was a good point that you made, though, in regards to the media. I mean, we know there's a king of the media, right? That works with the king of Persia, and this is in the Bible. So, and they're very, very good at slanting anything, and you know how when people are in cahoots and they say, like, let's say if you and I don't know, 5 people got caught doing something and they bring each person in for questioning, One of the ways that they know that you're lying is if everybody tells the exact same story, like exactly the same. That's how they know that. That's a lot of the time. That's how they can tell when people are lying about something, because usually somebody's going to have a little bit of a different perspective on it, but it will still be the same theme, but the stories will be slightly different. So it's kind of, interesting that you talked about how the different media outlets, like you watch all of them and it does sound like you're saying the same thing verbatim, and that alone just doesn't sound right. And the media is so powerful that, like I say all the time, they can make an innocent person look guilty, and they can make a guilty person look innocent, because they're able to slant things like that. um and
Yeah,
then
I've
in
actually,
the
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Right. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say now, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say I've actually seen where the the sources or the mediums that I do uh follow have actually done exactly what I said, and it's hilarious to see them string all of these together. And it's like, it's happening, but at the same time, at least for me, I'm sitting there with my mouth wide open, like, how is this happening? And having um, friends in the media, my sister, and it's like I haven't spoken to some of these people in a while, but I want to say, how do you do your job every day and you're apparently not reporting what you know to be true, but what you're told to do? It's like journalism has just taken a turn that is mind blowing. It's not even journalism. And they say that they believe that there are operatives that work as journalists, like, for different three-letter agencies, that they're not like real journalists anymore.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things have changed, but even on another thing you said too was the fact that if you're hearing that all day, all day in, day out. Oh, this person is a dictator. This person is that. Like, if you keep hearing something over and over, it is going to have some type of impact on you. Even when we were talking about the frequency, you guys remember when we were talking about the different frequencies. I mean, this is going to be on YouTube, so I can't go into too much detail. But the different frequencies that were released, where like a whole group of people all of a sudden feel depressed, or like it would release a certain frequency that would make people, feel a certain way. Y'all remember when we talked about that? Um, I think the same thing is being done also, because understand that televisions emit a frequency as well. When you're sitting there watching it, including radio too, they all give off different frequencies. So could that also be the reason why it's even more impactful than just hearing it over and over, to the point where it seems like people are almost responding in a way that's demonically influenced?
I wonder too, though, Patience, if it's that coupled with the fact that if you've had I remember a network had this slogan years ago, trusted news source. If you've been listening to a trusted news source for years, why would you go anywhere else? And so when they're telling you this, and then you might hear from another trusted news source, someone who has been a pillar in, that particular, like that's their wheelhouse. I mean, they've been a pillar in journalism for years. It just almost goes against everything in you to think to dispute anything they're saying. And so my mother has watched a particular network for years. And when my brother and his wife and I started sharing things with her, I think at first she was just kind of like, okay. But more and more and more and more and more that we shared that goes against their narrative,
Mhm.
she that a part of her is just like she believes us, but I think she's still having a hard time wrapping her mind around the fact that this is actually happening, that there is just so much deception right there in front of our eyes. And so the conversations that we're having with her and what she's come to understand, she can't have these conversations with her peers because it's generational, coupled with the fact that they're probably going to be looking at her like she has two heads. So, she knows something that a lot of them, people that she's gone to church with for years don't know. And she has to sort of sit with that because it would be very confrontational.
Mm-hmm. Diane, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
For me personally, it's a red flag when you see a leader or someone like a reporter um, appear perfect, polished. Everything they say is so pleasing. It validates everyone's feelings, and you just can't find, they almost seem perfect, right? And to me, I just think that's like a sense of false peace. And I think that's why it's so important to have discernment now, especially with all that media out there, because you can't just believe a person based on their appearance at face value. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why when we're reading scripture, you're evaluating the heart too of that person. But you can't really do that if you don't know them and you're just seeing them on the screen all the time. Unless you're like Sonia here and you see like the stuff manifesting physically, then you'd be like, oh my goodness, let me turn off the TV screen.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. Did you guys feel like you knew me just from watching my videos, or do you feel like you know me better now?
Better now for sure.
Okay. Do we do that with
Better
both?
now, but not too much different. It's like, remember yesterday we were talking about, and I said about when you meet people, they send their
Mhm.
representative, and eventually the real person shows up.
Yeah.
You don't seem um, really much different from what I mean. Even when you were giving your testimony in interviews, I mean, no, you
Mhm.
seem like the person that I watched and just gradually got to know. You seem, genuine. If you're faking the funk, you're doing a great job.
Rachel said, let me read what Rachel said. Rachel said, I heard your voice and I looked and couldn't believe you were shorter than me. LL.
But one thing, Patience, is like, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously you have the wisdom always in every interview, but I think the lives really show your personality because because you honestly react to people's questions, and you have a sense of humor, which is like amazing. And I think that that's something that maybe the interview, because that I feel that now I realize that you really do have a real sense of humor, and you're pretty, light about a lot of things. Um, and I love the lives because it really shows again like your personality.
You know what's funny though? I didn't even realize that I had a sense of humor at all until a friend of mine told me that. She was like, "You're hilarious," but I'm just being serious. So to me, it's not like I'm trying to be funny, but people be saying some silly stuff. Rachel says, wait, really, Rachel? She says, then I was called a cracker by some other ladies when I went to your birthday event. Wait, somebody called you a cracker? Oh my gosh.
That's not
What?
nice.
That's not very nice. These were all supposed to be Christian ladies.
Are they on this call?
No, because the event was open, like you could buy tickets to come, and it was my birthday banquet last year. Speaking of which, I am going to be having a birthday retreat, coming up at some time. But I want to open that up to the public too, so people can start buying tickets. I just have to, get the numbers on everything because last year I basically paid for it because I didn't charge people enough, and then I ended up paying for, like their hotel rooms, transportation to pick them up from the airport. So we ended up actually, at me as a company, ended up taking up, like, we didn't really make anything from it last year. And that wasn't even the point, but at least we should have at least broken even. We didn't, because I just didn't want to charge people that much. But yeah, Rachel, I didn't know somebody called you a cracker. Uh, Rachel says, I didn't even hear them because I was so excited, but my friend told me they were saying that we had a great time anyway. We were dancing and playing games. Did you win any money, Rachel? Did you win any money? Or was that a yes to the money? Oh, you won a lot of the games? Okay. She said my team was so good because they played by tables at the banquet. So like your table, you could answer the question on behalf of your table, and then they would win a prize. Pretty much all the prizes have money in them. Sonia, I see
I
your
put
hand
the
up.
sniper link in there.
Okay, awesome. Can somebody click on the link for the sniper? Let's just take a look at that, and then I'll end the recording for this topic, and we can go to some sweet stuff.
Do you think you should end the recording before the
Before the sniper video, I want to see the sniper video.
Okay.
And then we can close out the topic for Donald Trump and talk about some sweet stuff after that. Who can share the link? We'll click on the link. Rachel says, you don't remember the rowdy ladies? Someone had to remind them it was a Christian event. There was a group of ladies that they were trying to win everything. Like they were because all the boxes had money in it for the prizes. So they were basically trying to answer all the questions right, so they could win all the money. And yeah, they were pretty rowdy. Oh, those were the ladies that called you a cracker? Oh, Lord. Was somebody able to click on the link?
That's awful. A Christian event.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't happen even with non-Christians, and that's what makes people not like believers.
Well, like I said, I opened the event up to the public to come. So I do know that there was a couple of pastors that brought like their whole not their whole congregation, not big congregations, but like the whole small congregation. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe the people in that congregation just got saved yesterday or not. So you never know. Just have grace with people. Rachel says, I don't care what they call you, so glad you're here. You ain't had to put me on blast like that though, Rachel. Everybody didn't know I was that short. Y'all already knew though, because I know I say it all the time though, right? Okay, was somebody able to click on the link? She said I didn't say how short. Hey Tanika. Who's able to click on the link? It's kind of scrolling up now. So we're gonna take a look at this video from of the sniper and then discuss that.
I'll try it on my tablet. Hold on for a second. Let me see if this will work.
Okay. And we got to get the audio too. So if someone can click on it and share it with the audio.
Well, I'm doing it on my tablet instead of my laptop because I've got both of them up. So the laptop is the one where I had problems.
So it can do the audio on the tablet.
Let's see, make sure that this is okay. Hang on.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay.
You're gonna have to mute yourself on the other device, so getting a little feedback.
Interference away. Try it again. Share screen. Can you see anything?
I see it. Can you guys see it? I don't see the video yet. Okay. It says you're sharing with everyone.
All right, let me. Hold on. I'm hoping it'll be loud enough. Okay, here we go. Can you hear it?
No. I don't hear anything. So when you go to share it, it should be a pop-up that asks for permission to share both the audio and the video. I think you have to click yes or whatever.
It doesn't ask me that.
It should be a thing that
How
pops up.
do
You have to click allow.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen. I'm just gonna go to my settings real quick because I have no idea.
Because when you first click share, that's when it pops up. I think.
I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna go back in.
Okay. I mean, if
Right.
someone else they can share it, we can.
I got my audio working if you want to try.
Okay, yeah, if you can click on the link, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Share your screen.
Wait a minute. I think.
Oh, did you figure it out?
Hang on. Let's see.
Hey, what's
Can you
going on,
hear me now?
everybody? I'm here to tell you why the shooting of President Donald.
Okay.
Yes,
hang
we
on.
can hear it.
All right. Let me start it over.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here to tell you why the shooting of President Donald Trump yesterday, without a doubt in my mind, was a planned and coordinated attack on the president inside our government, our local agency, or police force. Here's why. My name is Matthew Murphy, and I am a retired Green Beret, retired from the Special Forces Group, but I'm also a level 1 sniper, which means that I have graduated the highest level of training for snipers that you can do in special operations. We're trained, I'm going to avoid confidential or classified terminology. We're trained in assassinations and counter assassinations for the very reason, case in point, yesterday, the shooting of President Donald Trump. So, first of all, anywhere the president's going to go, there are teams from the Secret Service that go out days, if not weeks, if not months, before the president will ever be at that spot. And they do a site security assessment. And they do that with the local police forces and agencies to ensure that every potential security threat or vulnerability is secured and, of course, protected against. Now, this is done way before Donald Trump will ever get there, and they know every place that the president will be, and the sniper team especially is responsible for ensuring that no one can take a shot at the president. Now, that does not mean that the sniper team just sets up with their guns and scans the crowd and shoots. No, what they do, the most important thing they do pre-Donald Trump showing up, is within a 360-degree environment of that podium of the president, they ensure that there is not a place that is open that will be accessible by someone with a rifle to take a shot at the president. So they make sure those places are barricaded off, inaccessible, and heavily guarded, so there is no way you are going to get to the place where you could even shoot the president with a rifle before the president shows up. Then they scan the crowd and those places of the rifle just in case by some miracle you do. Now, you're not going to tell me, I don't care who you are, don't listen to the media, nonsense anyways, I think most of us know that by now, that some 20-year-old kid that looks like he played Dungeons and Dragons in his mom's basement is trained on a gun, especially a sniper rifle like that, is a registered Republican, and then can access anywhere near the vicinity of that crowd, of that event, with him not dressed in a uniform and that sniper rifle. He was wearing American flag t-shirt and pants, and he had a rifle. You're going to tell me that that kid went through all the levels of security, somehow got into the closest building to the president, then accessed the rooftop of the closest building to the president, then had the time to unpack his rifle, lay down in the prone, and then take 5 to 8 well-aimed shots at the president before he was decisively engaged by the Secret Service's counter sniper teams or a local police department. I don't know who they were. Most likely police. You're going to tell me all that happened and a 20-year-old kid did that without it being heavily planned, coordinated, and people on the inside making it happen? There's absolutely no way possible that that kid was able to get up there and take those shots at the president without a lot of internal help. So someone in that local, or some people inside that local police department, agencies, or Secret Service is compromised and is a threat to our president. So we need to stop worrying about that damn shooter and start worrying about who allowed this shit to happen. And President Trump, if you need an American to protect you who's actually good at sniping and stopping this crap, give me a call. I'll do it for free. Everybody have a good day. God bless. Hey, what's going on,
All right, what do you guys think?
everybody? I'm here to tell you why the shooting of President Donald Trump yesterday, without a doubt in my mind, was a planned and coordinated attack on the president.
I'm trying to, I did pause it, but with X, there's different layers.
Okay.
Hang on a second, I'm almost done.
Okay.
I'm scratching my head here. So he wore camouflage. Wouldn't you think it would be camouflage if he just wore all white? Because the roofs were white?
No,
How do you
you
miss
can
that?
see,
The
you
pants say
can
he
see
had
him on the
on.
roof. Go ahead, Sonia.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying you could clearly see him on the roof. It wasn't like, you know, you could see him because when people were taking videos and pictures of him after they shot him, you could clearly see him on the roof. It's not like he blended in.
I think that the camouflage was that khaki, like light khaki camouflage pants. And I think that goes to I think it was Diane that just said that. Diane, I think that goes to sort of validate what the guy was just saying, that whoever got this kid involved probably hyped him up with you have some camouflage pants, you know, because that's what snipers would wear. Like it just you know how when somebody is like
If you watched the YouTube video or something.
Yeah, or because you know how they say like someone who's easily they're very impressionable, and they were saying that this kid was a loner. He was bullied in school. He was highly intelligent. He won like a math award and science award, but he was a loner and, you know, was bullied. And so just like what we were watching a couple of weeks ago, or we were listening to, there's groomers for everything. And for whoever is, do we want to keep recording?
Go ahead. We'll just finish this. We'll go. I understand what you were saying though, because we're talking about the groomers. We're listening to them grooming the children, even for sexual abuse and things like that, and for the pedophiles.
So for every situation where you're trying to manipulate someone to do or be something, there are groomers, and they're very calculated, like the enemy is. It's not, you know, obvious. It's not overt. And it could have been someone who befriended him or someone who gassed him up, like, oh, you know, you're going to do the country a service, or you could go down in infamy, or you won't really have to do anything, just need you as a what is it that you call it when you're trying to, as a distraction? Because so do we know that even though he got off some shots, that it actually hit, that they actually came from his rifle, even though people saw him shoot? And I was wondering about this. When you see those bullets going past President Trump's head, and he said he heard like that whistling sound, but then it's directly behind him that the guy was killed and those other gentlemen were hit. And so I'm like, okay, make it make sense. And so for whoever it was that planned this, because I do feel like it was a planned, coordinated attack, that it's like, it was so sloppy. I mean, did you not think
Um,
that whoever was going to investigate this would not connect those dots? If we're civilians and we're looking at it and going, wait, that doesn't make sense.
yeah, it was. When you listen to, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to Isaiah Saldivar's video pertaining to this. And he talked about the fact that when you go back and look at all of the presidents that were assassinated or they had attempted assassinations, they were all against one party. It was only like one person from Trump's party, well, no, from Biden's party, basically. It was only one president from that party that there was ever an assassination attempt against. All the other presidents that had assassination attempts or actually ever got assassinated was from Trump's party. So he was like, that's another thing that's fishy. So why is it only one party is always getting assassination attempts and the others not? And he went all the way back in history and listed all of them.
Yep, I saw that. I saw that too. It's crazy because, like I said, I mean, he has his issues. We all do, but I mean, he's often said, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I'm just in the way. So everything and he's right, because if they can get him out of the way, then they're free to continue to carry out this agenda that is just so left, like radical, just crazy, even to the point where people don't even have a say over their children. And there are people that have come from other countries to the land of the free, the home of the brave, and they're looking at us stuck in this cycle of legacy media going, hey, I've been in this movie before. I've seen this movie before. I lived this. I left this. You guys don't see what's happening. And I mean, it has been going on for decades, little by little by little, the way that our country went from, there was no prayer in school, and then there was no Pledge of Allegiance, and then there was, Roe v. Wade, and it just kept going and going and going to now, where people are paying top dollar for their children to go to these Ivy League colleges and universities, and are slowly but surely being indoctrinated into a certain way of thinking that goes against everything that this country, was founded upon. And I look back at things that I thought, especially like in college, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize how, we were being indoctrinated into a certain mindset then. It's like it didn't just come on us all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else comments on this guy's video? The guy who's a sniper.
Well, clearly Trump is going to need to be hiring some new snipers, so that's a good start.
So he said he'll do it for free. So he got one employee if he needs a new sniper. But I think that's an interesting point, though, because when you did look at the videos, though, the guy was positioned behind Trump, right? It wasn't in front of him. He was on the building behind him, right? That's why the shot came like from behind, like going that way.
No, he was like to the left of him. So when you see Trump turn his head, because he never turns away from his audience, he's always looking straight, but he was trying to show some statistics. So if he hadn't turned his head, and all I could think of was a spirit realm, patience of a huge, like 15-foot angel or something standing there, and just with his hand either blocking something or pushing Trump's face back, and him not even feeling the force of it.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, that's the thing,
or a
because
thought coming to him to turn
if
his
the
head.
bullet was coming this way, so if he hadn't turned right at that moment, it's bad. It is so, like, it would have gone through his head. You see what I'm saying? Like,
It goes
and
behind him. So like I'm looking at, well, you can't see me looking at you, but if you could see Nydia's picture, right? And her right side, if she would turn so that she was looking towards her right, the way that the bullets coming, they're like flying behind, past the back of her head. If I can find a picture of it, I'll
yeah, I saw the video a couple of times in slow motion. Yeah, well, the bullet was like coming from like behind, almost. Yeah.
And someone even tried to go as far as to say, "Oh, do you see that matter on his ear? That was a blood capsule, and it burst, and that's what's hanging
Are
off
you
of his ear."
serious?
Yes, I mean, and what Nydia was saying, I mean, I can't look at comments like that. That's why I don't really do a whole lot of social media, because it's so grieving to my spirit. Like she said, the hatred and the vitriol that was being spewed, and you heard about one of your cousins getting fired because of something she put on social media about the guy not missing the next time. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah, there was a woman, woman of color. She put on social media something along the lines of she
Wow.
was thinking about that if you're going to do this next time, don't miss. And she goes, "Oops, did I just say that?" No, she goes, "I don't." First, she prefaced it by saying, "I don't condone violence, but the next time, if you're gonna call yourself shooting something, next time don't miss." And then she goes, "Oops, did I just say that?" Like laughing, and supposedly she got fired. But with what I understand from the left, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't find her way back into a job somewhere else. It's like for optics, they had to let her go. But yeah, I mean, that's somebody. I mean, regardless, even if you, like you said, you don't like his politics, he's a human. That's somebody's dad, somebody's husband, somebody's son, like even the shooter. And maybe
I mean,
that's
besides,
just me.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a 20-year-old kid died as well.
Yeah, I mean, his parents, and especially if he's their only child, like, I hear people praying for this person or that person, but, I'm praying for his parents too, because for the rest of their lives, people are going to, you know, see them, and there's going to be the whispers, and that's the crazy kids' parents. Like, it doesn't just affect one or two people. It's a ripple effect.
Right. And it would be even more sad if he was really just a scapegoat and the shots really came from somewhere else.
Well, I think he was a scapegoat even if they did come from him. Ultimately, I believe that he was a cover for somebody.
But do you think he knew he was going to get shot? I'm pretty sure he knew. Like, I don't think that you would think that you would shoot at the president and not get shot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or even a former president. Like,
I do think he knew that. And I think that we're talking about groomers. It's almost like the way that you see these like Islamic extremists. They have a
yeah,
way of
yeah.
saying and doing things that get
You'll go down
you.
in history. You'll be
Yeah,
famous. Yeah.
whatever it is that they say, they get you settled into a place of whatever, to where you are resolved to say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do this. And so whatever it was that he was told, whether it was you might lose your life, but da 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 da.
Do you think his parents really didn't know he was being, if he was coerced to do this, or?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've even thought about the things that they found in the house. Look how easy it is for people to get into your home. His parents could have been at work. He could have been at work, and neighbors could have thought some work was being done.
Mhm.
Exterminators, and then things are planted inside the home, or they're saying we need you to take these things and keep them inside your house, and we'll give you instructions later on what to do with them. And then he might have said, well, if I'm going to do this today, what do I do with all the materials that you gave me? Well, you know what, we change your plans, don't even worry about that stuff, because once this is done it won't even matter. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
the
And
simplest things.
the shots were so low. Like it wasn't like, you know how like typically it would be louder. It didn't seem that loud, and I think that's why it took a while for the people to realize that it was actually shots being, there were shots being fired, because it wasn't as loud as like a rifle or.
It was a rifle. You're thinking about something like an automatic. You're thinking about an assault
Yeah, it
weapon,
didn't
like
sound.
AK-47.
And it didn't sound either like it had a silencer on it either, because it would have been, you would have heard anything. But that's why it was a little confusing there, because I don't know what type of gun he had, but it wasn't that loud, but at the same time it wasn't silenced either.
Yeah, it was. It's not meant to be. I mean, it's a rifle. It's a high-powered rifle. It's meant to do, you know, my understanding is just to take a target out. So the fact that you heard a pop, pop, pop,
Mhm.
it's not meant to have a huge, overwhelming
Or
sound.
huge, yeah, like an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts? We wrap up on this topic. Mhm. And I'm sure more things will come up, as they look into it. Um, yeah. I just feel for his parents, because it didn't seem like he had any other children.
Well, the word says what happens in the dark will come to the light. And I truly believe that in this situation, when darkness comes to light, a lot of people are going to be taken aback by who or what is responsible for this. So I really do feel like it will be revealed. When? No idea. But I do feel it will be revealed.
Yeah.